What is up, YouTube? Hello, Party Parrots. Today, I'm so excited to bring you guys my first ever review of upcoming cards. We are looking at the newest Season of the Spider cards that are going to be releasing this September, an all Spider themed season. And not only is this the first time I've ever done this video, I love these like kind of look ahead videos, see what's coming. I'm someone who, whenever a patch is announced, I'm like constantly refreshing all my browsers, waiting for that patch to drop, because then I know there's going to be data mines. I know there's going to be new cards that are leaked, and I am just constantly getting excited for that. One of the highlights, honestly, of my month, and so I always wanted to do a video like this, and think this is the perfect season to do it, because this new season not only has 5 brand new cards, not only are they spiders, which, if you don't know, I am a huge fan of the spiders. Some people love the Avengers, some people love the X-Men. I am a spiders guy. I collect the spiders comic books. I just love, love, love them. But we have a brand new keyword, which you can see on the screen here with our new season pass card, Symbiote Spiderman. So really quickly, kind of before we break down this new card, I want to break down this new mechanic, and that is Activate. So I think Activate is going to be a new mechanic, just like On Reveal and Ongoing, which are our other two mechanics. And I think this is kind of a perfect mechanic for Marvel Snap. We already have something, okay, you play the card, you get the effect. And we have something, you play this card, and there's always an effect going on, and that's ongoing. Now we have something where you play the card, and then later you can decide to get the effect. So we do not know anything about this mechanic for sure, other than it is called Activate, and we can read it on some of the new cards, but I think we can kind of assume how this is going to work. One is, how I imagine this working is you will play Mr. Symbiote Spider-Man here, and then at some point when you want to trigger this ability, you will click on that card to activate him. Then I imagine he like glows golden or something, you know, hot shines, so you know he's on, you know you turn him on, and then if you decide you don't want to, you can untap him, and then that ability will happen. Now, there are a couple of questions that we have. Assuming all of this, there are still some questions that we will have, and I want to break them down really quickly. One is, we do not know when this ability will happen. So we just saw Move get changed to always happen at the start of the turn. Is Activate going to always happen at the start of the turn? If I play this card on 4 and then on turn 6 activate it, is it one of the first things that happens like Move? I'm leaning towards no. I know they just changed Move to being at the start of the turn, but I think that was very unique to Move, because Move was in a really weird space, because essentially you could like play 2 cards, move a card, then play another card, and the card that you moved didn't actually move to that new spot until that new move until like that third trigger happened. But he was there, but they weren't there, and it was very awkward, because it like turned off ongoing effects. It just made cards strange, because they weren't there, but they were there. I do not think Activate will have that problem, and that has me leaning towards you will be able to say play a card, then activate the ability, then like play another card after if you so choose. We don't know that for sure. That is completely speculation, and while I'm breaking down the cards, I'm going to talk a little bit more about them in regards to the specific card, but I wanted to point that out. There might be like an activate window where like you click the card for turn 6 and it's one of the first things that happens. The other thing is, we don't know if you can activate the turn you can play it. I personally am leaning towards no, you cannot activate it the turn you play it, and because for me there's like a couple of reasons. Number one is, it just seems like it would be better on reveal there. Then, if the activate can be played the turn you play it, then you could play a card and activate it, essentially making that card an on reveal, giving it an on reveal, and get around like Cosmo, which you'll see some of these effects are somewhat similar to already on reveals that we have. The second reason is, I think it makes sense when you look at cards like Howard the Duck. You can't put Howard on the Duck and then tap him to look at the top of your deck, which is, again, how I imagine Activate will be. You just like click on the card to turn it on. And I think that's going to be similar to this, where like if you play this card, then you have to wait a turn. Now that's a bit awkward because that means that essentially these cards don't have abilities on the 6th turn. You need to play them down earlier. But I think that kind of makes sense if you think of like how they're differentiating it from ongoing and on reveal to not just build a better on reveal. It's almost kind of like a landmine, I would say, where like you have to spend a turn to bury it, and then you have the trigger and you can detonate it whenever you want. That is how I'm imagining activate works. And so I really love just having a new mechanic. I think this is a perfect new mechanic for the game. Because not only are we going to get a ton of new activate cards, which just really opens up the design space, and as we're going to see, we're getting 5 cards this season. 3 of them are this new mechanic, but we're still getting an ongoing and still on reveal. And this tells me that it's not that they ran out of on reveals or ongoing effects, they just have new ideas and a new way to code for them. So I think this is only going to expand upon what the game can offer. And then finally, this also gives us some counterplay. We can have cards like a Cosmo for activate. Cards in this lane can't activate their abilities if your opponent's trying to wait for a big activate thing. Or maybe like a Super Giant where it's like next turn cards can't be activated. You could even have something like Mephisto, which would let you trigger the ability perhaps twice. That's the other thing with activate is I imagine this will be a one-time thing. I don't think you're going to be able to activate these over and over again. Some people are thinking maybe once a turn. I don't think so. I think this is going to be just have an ability and you can pick when to use it. I think that makes the most sense with their design space. But there could be something like Mephisto, like a 3-2 or something that gives you additional activates or something. Like just powerful abilities that let you synergize with it like we already have with ongoing and on reveals. And I think that is huge. So stop breaking it down. Let's actually dive into this card, starting with Symbiote Spiderman. Symbiote Spiderman here is a 4/6, so pretty good stats with the activate ability. Remember that new keyword with merge your lowest cost card here with them. So this means it's basically going to absorb your lowest cost card. We've kind of seen that with like cards like Hulkbuster and stuff before. Venom, merge cards into them. Then this has copy its text like it's just revealed. This is a bit complicated. I've seen some people think that this is like, try to figure out what this is. I think this means that it is going to copy the on reveal of it because it's going to copy its text like it just revealed, like you just played it, and the on reveal is going to happen. Some people don't think that's the case. I personally think it is. And I think that this card, the best way to kind of put it is that this is like a mini Odin where you can activate one more on reveal of a card and also merge that card into it, so it doesn't take a slot. And to give you what I think might be like a really good like combination of cards would be you could play like Ironheart into say this card here, Symbiote Spider-Man, and then play Wong, activate your Symbiote Spider-Man, again, assuming the timing. We don't quite know how timing is going to work, but regardless, you should be able to absorb it. It'll absorb that Ironheart. So you get that Ironheart trigger once. Then Symbiote Spider-Man will make it happen again. Then, because you have Wong, you'll get it another time. And then on that last turn, you can play Odin. And that is like not an oh, that's not Magic Christmas Land. You can do that with like White Tiger. You could say play this on 4, then play White Tiger, activate the Spider-Man, get another White Tiger, and then play Odin, get another Symbiote Spider-Man. Depending on timing, you could do this with something like Doctor Doom. You could play this on turn 4, then wait, drop Doctor Doom onto the battlefield, and then merge it into it, take that on reveal, and get that ability twice, because it'll happen and then the activate will go through. Again, assuming that's how activate works. We'll have to see when it gets closer to release. I'm sure we'll get a whole briefing about how this works before the cards come into it. Another place where I see this play, because that merge your lowest card here, you might be thinking, Parrot, like that's kind of weird. Like, why would they have that text too if this is just like a mini Odin? Well, one, we already have Grandmaster. We have Absorbing Man. And I don't think a mini Odin in one lane, like that you have to play in the lane of that on reveal, is really like all that special. We've seen like Absorbing Man, which is just another on reveal. Like the best part about Absorbing Man is that you can play it in a different lane than your on reveal. You can Brood and then Absorbing Man another lane. You can White Widow and then Grandmaster into another lane. Like that is one of the main reasons that you have those. But with Symbiote Spider-Man, has to do it in that same lane. So what do you want him for? Well, you can also use him as a backup with Phoenix Force. I think this card is going to immediately replace Shuri in those builds because you could play him on turn 4 instead of Shuri, and then play Nimrod when for those turns you don't draw Phoenix Force, merging them into it. Or you could play it on turn 4 and then play Phoenix Force, merge into whatever you just brought back, your Multiple Man or your Human Torch. I think this card is essentially just better Shuri in those decks, and I think that's very fitting that, of course, a deck that's all about moving is going to get buffed with this effect. And I think that's why you can have its on reveal and you can have this merge both be really cool things. And for that reason, I think this is a really creative design. It really shows that it's a symbiote with the merging. It has really good on reveal synergies. It also can use up one of the like hardest parts of playing a lot of like filling up one lane is you can get cluttered or you can just get locked out of playing on that lane. Well, he's going to basically free you up a space too. So I'm super excited for this card. And he's only the first of our activate cards. Next up, we have the Scarlet Spider, and I'm so happy to see my boy Ben here. I am honestly, Ben Reilly, if you don't know, is the Scarlet Spider, one of my favorite characters in Marvel. I just love his look, the blue hoodie. I'm actually more of a Kane fan myself, but not to get too much into the nitty-gritty of the comics here. Scarlet Spider, clone of Spider-Man, and what better way to show a clone than with this ability. He is a 4/5 with the activate ability. So again, you're going to pick when you want to do this to add an extra clone of this to another location, an exact clone of this to an extra location. And I think this is a really cool ability. I think this is going to be really awesome. I mean, I think this is much simpler design than Symbiote Spider-Man, which I really appreciate, and I think you can really just see how this activate works. You can play like not Brood, you can play like Forge into this guy as a 4/7, and then you can activate him whenever you want to get a clone of this in another location. You might be thinking, well, why not just make this an on reveal? And I mean, they could, but what this allows you to do is this can help you get into locations that you otherwise might not be able to. You could say, play this on turn 4 in one location, and then fill another location on turns 5 and 6, and then let's say that last location was Altar of Death or Silent Sanctum. You can't get into there. Well, because this is an activate, you can then on that last turn, after you've filled up that second location, activate it, and you know it's going to go in there. And that is super versatile. Like, that is a really nice ability to have, is just being able to help you get into locations that you otherwise might not be able to. It can also help you from preventing clogging yourself. Something like Brood or Mr. Sinister a lot of times means that you're really pinched on that board space, even like Squirrel Girl. Because this is activate, you can simply wait until you know what's going to happen. You can figure out if your opponent's going to clog you or not. And so I think this is really good design. It's much more simpler than the Symbiote Spider-Man, which I think, since this is our first time with this mechanic, I really appreciate. When I'm looking at decks for it, I'm really like trying to wonder exactly what it means when it says add an exact clone here. I imagine that means that you won't be able to like activate this one because, again, we're assuming you can only activate once. Get an exact clone. Will it have that activate? I'm leaning towards no, because this is just a 4/10. Just out of the box, just doing nothing. It will matter if that ability can be activated on the turn you play it. I'm kind of assuming no, in which case on turn 6 this would only be a 4/5, but on turn, if you play as 4 or 5, then it's just a 4/10 before you give it any buffs. If you play Forge into this, it's going to be a 4/7. If you play like Shuri and then drop this guy, I mean, that's 4/10 activated, get another 4/10. Like, that's more power than it would be playing Vision on turn 5. I really like this kind of simple design space. But then if it doesn't have that activate ability, would that mean that it gets buffed by Patriot? Because I think this is a perfect card to go, if you were planning on going, say, Forge into Brood into Absorbing Man, then drop this guy on turn 5, and then turn 6 drop like a Patriot and a Surfer or something. That is a deck that I love playing, and I think this guy would be really big on that. I mean, that's a lot of stats right there if this gets buffed by Patriot. We're not sure. We'll have to see when it gets closer to release there. But I really like this guy. I think he's gonna be super versatile, and he's just a lot of stats. He has a deceptive number of stats. Looking at a 4-5, you might be like, oh, not not too great, but I think he's really easily gonna be able to get much bigger, especially with something like Shuri's Lab or some of these locations. I mean, this is a really cool ability. Really looking forward to it. We then have our last activate card, and this is the one I'm honestly most excited for. This is the card I'm most excited for of the whole season, and that's because I think this is the exact card that Move needs to get back into the meta to be an actual good deck. This is a 2/2 with the activate ability. Remember that new ability with give the last card you played +2 power and then move it to the right. Now, I am someone who has played a ton of Beast move bounce, where you play like Beast and Falcon along with Iron Fist, Ghost Spider, Human Torch, a couple other cards that get buffed with moving, and you just keep playing them, moving them around, bouncing them back to your hand, and doing it again. And one of those things that that deck does is you play like Iron Fist and Forge to really boost up that Human Torch. And this is both of those in one card. That is huge for that kind of deck. But honestly, I think the reason why this card is just like, for me, a 5 out of 5, I think this is the best card in the set, is because I think that activate ability, if it plays how we're hoping it is exactly what the move deck needs. One of the hardest parts with playing the move deck isn't really like, people say, oh, it's like managing board space and stuff. It's not really that. It's that so much of it is you have to play your Iron Fist before you play the card that gets the bonus by it, and then you have to play the Ghost Spider after it, and there's no room for anything else. Like, if you draw your cards in the wrong order, it can be, you might have to just wait a couple turns before you can play a bunch of 1-drops, which feels weird. You might have to, like, figure out, like, oh, what do you do with this Spider-Man 2099? Well, you don't have to worry about that with this. Because this is an activate ability, you can just play her out and then figure out when you want that to move that last card +2 power and move it to the right. You can just wait. Like, you can drop this card on turn 2 and then sit there and wait until you draw Spider-Man 2099. If this works how we're hoping it does, and it doesn't have that weird, like, there's an activate that always triggers at the beginning of the turn, then you could, like, drop Spider-Man 2099, click this button, move it to the right, give it +2 power, destroy something. I think this really cleans up a lot. You can drop that multiple man, click the button, maybe even if you draw turn 6, like, that's another big problem with the move decks is, what do you do if you draw your multiple man on turn 6 or your Human Torch? Well, now it's fine. Now you play the you can move it to the right and give it +2 power. I mean, that's just a 1/8 on Human Torch. It's going to get the +2 power, go up to 4, then get another double from the movement. Like, that's totally fine. And it didn't even cost you any mana on that turn because of this activate. I will say this is a card that really matters, I think, how that whole timing window operates, because there is a big difference between being able to, with this card on the board, be able to say play Iron Fist, then drop Human Torch, activate this ability, and then play Ghost Spider. That is huge. But if you have to, like, wait and play Iron Fist, then the Human Torch, then wait until the next turn to activate the ability, and then it triggers, and then play the Ghost Spider, that is a lot more awkward, and I don't think that's going to fix some of the awkwardness with those move cards. But if it works how we're hoping it does, where it could, like, essentially works where when you click that activate button, like, essentially takes the spot of a card that would then go there, which I'm really hoping it does, because this would be so sweet. I also just think that this is a really powerful ability. I mean, we've seen that Forge is a really good card, and if this is like, Forge that can move a card, that's the reason why I have Dr. Octopus in some of the synergies section, is because you might be able to just, like, play Dr. Octopus, activate this ability, push him out, pull all of your opponent's cards out of the hand. We've seen that kind of with Ghost Spider, and it's always been cute, but it's never been that great because you had to play the Ghost, you had to always hold on to that Ghost Spider, and it wasn't doing a lot. Now, I mean, you just have a 2/4 that also will pull it out of there. You can abandon that lane if you want to. I think this card is going to fix a lot of problems that a lot of, like, decks were trying to do with cute stuff, and I'm just really excited for it. This is my 5 out of 5 card. This is my most excited for card. If you're looking for a card to bring back Move, I think this is going to be the one. I'm really optimistic with how it's going to work, but it's not the only move card that we're getting. Now we have Madam Web, and yeah, I know, I'm a huge Madam Web fan. I'm so glad they put her in here. The movie was 10 out of 10. I was so glad to see. No, okay, I did actually see the movie. It was not 10 out of 10. It was just as bad as everyone said. But I actually do really like this character. She was great in the Spider-Verse, the Webs arcs of the comic book, so I'm actually glad that they put her in here. Again, not as big a fan of the movie, but she is, if you think that the last card was strong, a lot of people, and they might be right, think that this might be the most strong card in the season. She is a 2/3 with the ongoing ability of you can move one of your other cards away from here each turn. And I mean, immediately this card is going to be great in move. I mean, if you end your turn with a Human Torch there, or a Multiple Man that's been powered up, you can just move it away, and then you can pull it back with Ghost Spider or with Cloak, and then move it away. I mean, this is a repeatable move. This is something that move players, I think, have been asking for a while. Is like, I want to just be able to play a card that helps me just move things. And a 2/3 body with this ongoing, that is like premium stats for this kind of effect. I mean, Hercules is a 4/7, and that only moves one card each turn, and like they have to move into it in each turn. This card is just so much stronger than that. I think this card is really going to help out move. In fact, I think this card is so strong that I don't even know if you need to be a move deck to play this. I mean, you can simply move any card away from here. This means you will never get filled in this lane. You can get cards into like Silent Sanctum for absolutely free just playing this. This almost turns all of your cards into like a Nightcrawler or a Jeff. Yeah, you can't just play them into the Silent Sanctum, but now you can just move any of your cards. That's kind of ridiculous for a 2/3. Like, you're pretty much paying nothing up front. This is pretty good stats, and getting that ability to just move your cards away. I think this card could see a lot more play than just move. I also think it has a little fun synergy with Jean Grey, where you could like drop this down and then play Jean Grey in there, and then, you know, you have to play the card in Jean Grey lane. Well, you can move it away. You don't need to like fill up the Jean Grey lane or like play a bunch of small things so you can like drop a kitty in Jean Grey and then play. No, you can like play Sandman, and then you get to move the Sandman away. Or you can play, you know, Claw, and then you can move the Claw away, and your opponent can't, because it's you can move one of your other cards away from here. This is really strong. I'm kind of surprised that they printed this card as a 2/3. We'll see if it gets changed. Again, this is a data mine, so all of it is suspect to change, but I think this card is going to open up a lot of different decks for people, and honestly, it might complicate move even more because of how strong it is, but I think it's really going to be good for the move lovers out there. And last but certainly not least, we have Silver Sable, and this card, I don't even know what card is the best here, because all of them just seem so strong. This is a 1/1 with the on reveal of steal 2 power from the top card of your opponent's deck. And first of all, I just like to say I love that this is a nice, powerful 1-drop. We do not get too many 1-drops in Snap. I think it's a pretty hard actual like energy cost to balance for, because you can't make it too strong, otherwise why would you play bigger things? But also, like, a 1/2 just gets overshadowed so easily, so they have to have power. This seems like a really, really awesome way to make it. And I think we've only even gotten 2 1-drops this season, or this year, and one of them isn't coming until like in 2 weeks. It's going to be Hydra Bob, but regardless, this card seems crazy. This is like going to be a staple in Bounce, I think. I think immediately that's where everyone's thinking it's going to be. In a lot of ways, this is like Hawkeye or Rocket Raccoon, but so much more simple. This is unlike Rocket Raccoon, where you have to correctly guess where your opponent's playing a card and then bounce it back to then guess where your opponent's going to play another card, or like Hawkeye that requires 2 turns to actually set up. You have to play it and then play a card there to give it that extra power. This one gets a little bit less power. It goes to a 1/3, but just that's it. You just play it out, steal 2 power from the top card of your opponent's deck, and then have a 1/3. Then you can Falcon it, you can Beast it, play it again, play out, have a 1/5. you did nothing. If your opponent plays one card, that's a 1-7. If they play both of those cards that you stole 2 power from, that's a 1-9. Just playing it out, just with one other bounce card. So I think this is going to be super great in that. This card also might have a lot of synergy with some of the flicked cards that we're getting next season in the Deadpool season. We have Ajax, who's going to get extra power based on how many of your opponent's cards have less power than they started with. We also have Cassandra Nova, which I think is going to be a mean combo with this girl, where she is a 3-1 that steals 1 power from every card in your opponent's deck. I mean, minus if you play that and then you drop this Silver Sable on, like that can give the top card of their card -3 power. That's kind of insane actually when you think about it. Like, is that going to be the biggest deal on like a, Infinite or a Red Hulk? Probably not. But if you hit like Nocturne, which is I think the most played card, or Jeff, like that's -3 power. That's a 3-1 Nocturne. Or a 3-2 Nocturne. That's a 2-0 Jeff. I don't even think you want to play those cards at that point. This card, I think, is going to be sneaky powerful. I think it's going to see a ton of play in maybe even a lot of different archetypes. I know I'm going to be trying it with Afflict, maybe bust out that high Evo A-Bomb. I know it's going to be awesome in Bounce. I love Bounce. I mean, it gets basted really well. It gets bounced really well. Really excited for it in that deck. It's also going to be great for, like, Shauna. If you play out a Shauna and just so happen to roll into this, there's a lot of cards like Meek and Hood that you don't want to hit. So I think getting more good 1-drops for that, I mean, is kind of actually a boost to those archetypes too, even though it might not seem like it. So I think this card, I mean, she might end up being the best card in the whole season. Any one of these cards, I think, could at this point. I know I'm shooting for Arana, but Silver Sable looks so powerful too. It's kind of ridiculous how good these cards are looking. I'm so excited for this season. But not only did we get all of these cards this season, but we also got a sneak peek at October spooky season with the symbiotes, and maybe even some look at November. So let's look at these. That's right. It looks like for October we are getting the symbiotes, and look how awesome these cards are. Shout out to Snap.fan. If you're looking to find these data mines yourself, as well as other data mines, things like how alliances are going to look, things like new variants, Snap.fan goes in, they data mine all of that out. It's all there for you. It's what I use to make this video. Again, huge shout out to them. They are great. And I mean, look at this. They even have the cards from October. I'm not going to go too far into this because we don't have any abilities. We don't have any power or anything. We just have the card art and what they are. But I mean, we're getting a symbiote season. And how awesome is that? I mean, I'm getting the spiders and then I'm getting the symbiotes. I'm on cloud 9. How could this get any better? Spooky season is going to be perfect. We got Anti-Venom. I mean, I love Anti-Venom. One of my favorite comic book runs. Agent Venom, also one of my favorite comics. Misery, Scorn, Toxin. Look how awesome they look. Scream. Really excited for October. I don't know how they're going to be able to top this spider season until I saw this. And now I'm super excited. We also got a little sneak peek at potentially some cards that my guess would be that they'd be coming out in November, and I think they're kind of perfect for that, and that is some Asgardian cards. They were apparently referenced, and that's Fenrir or Fenris Wolf, Frigga, and Malekith, the Cursed. These are all like some Asgardian villains, some big Asgardian characters. Again, we don't even have art for these cards. They might not be coming, but I think we've seen these before for like the Young Avengers, and now we've seen their full abilities, everything coming. Same with like the Spider season. We saw these originally just referenced. So I think it's a good bet. If you're an Asgardian fan, you're going to be getting some good cards here, probably coming in November after these symbiotes and then after the spiders. But I mean, this is all data mines, all subject to change. This is by no means going to release into the actual client like this. But if you're someone like me who just likes looking ahead, seeing maybe what they're thinking, what like they might change things, but where their head is at, this is going to be, I think, a great resource for that. So with that being said, that's gonna end the video. Please, if you guys like this video, leave a comment down below. Let me know what cards you guys are excited for. Let me know, are you as excited for this season as I am? Are you excited for this new mechanic? How do you think it's actually gonna work? Do you think I'm right? I could be completely wrong. I mean, I have no idea. No one really does at this point. Do you think the symbiotes might be even like more exciting? Just leave a comment down below. I want to hear from you guys. Also, if you have any advice on this video, again, this is my first time making a new kind of data mine video, and I really want to do a good job at this. This is one of my favorite parts of the Snap community, so please leave that advice down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. We got Fastos and the Airshim coming, so please hit that subscribe button. I know you guys don't want to miss this.